Welcome guys, my name is Rashid and in this video we'll see how to pull the server 2016 into our domain. So in last video we have created two machines, that is one is the DC domain controller where we have installed our SQL domain in the AD and make it as a DC. Another one is the 2016 desktop. So I was trying to make a video of configuration and all, and I have created it but found that the mic for the recording was off. So what I do, I have already pulled this machine, this 2016 into the domain, but I will show you how to do it. So go to the your DC network, click on the open network and sharing center, and the same thing you should do on the 2016. Okay, then go to the change adapter setting. On the Ethernet connection, right click and select option as a property. Right click, select as an option property. One thing here you should note that even though this is a networking part, as an DBA you should be aware of the things like not the deeper in the networking, but overall you should know, because in the future if there any issue occur you might able to troubleshoot it. So what in our scenario, we are unchecking the IPv6 address and working with the IPv4 address. So just double click on it. By default, it was on the obtain an IP address automatically, but I changed it to use the following IP address. Okay, and you don't need to worry about this because in your organization, they have the templates, clones of the VMs. Okay, and they will networking team or the you can say the server team help you to create all the server which is in the domain with the update with the patches, and the security team take care of the patches and everything. As a DBA, your work is to install the SQL server, they configure the SQL server and make it the workable and in the production. Okay, so in the basic thing, we what I have done is I have provided a static IP address 192.168.0.50 for my DC. Okay, subnet mask and the default gateway. And I have preferred the DNS server, that is a DC only. But in your organization, there is everything separate. DC is separate, DNS server is separate. Okay, so in our scenario, we'll make say everything on the same. Okay, going toward the 2016, what we need to do is you need to give the static IP address, subnet mask, and the default gateway should be same for both of the machines. Okay, that's the DC and 2016 server, because it is the path from where these two machines communicate with each other. So this is default gateway is the router address for me, or we can give it as a static. Okay, the other things too, like other address as per your need. Then preferred DNS, I ask MySQL 2016 server to use DC as an DNS server, and then alternative DNS server. Okay, once you enter this information, you need to click on OK. It will give you a warning message that the default gateway is not on the same network. Just click on yes and ignore it, cancel, or your case OK. Close both window. So once you set up the network, these two machines should able to communicate with each other. Okay, but if that is not possible or that's not happening in your scenario, just give and reboot. So after that, what you need to do is you need to go on this PC or computer, okay, or the file explorer. Then you need to select this PC option, right click on it, go to the property. Okay, so make sure that we have created only one domain, that is the sql.com on our DC domain controller. Okay, there should be a different domains like the APAC, EMEA, PIA, sorry, our DMZ and other. So once the property window open, click on the change setting. It will take some time because of the RAM issue. Then go to the change. Here I have selected the domain, but it by default it should be a work group or some information was there. Okay, what you need to do is you need to click on the domain, then enter the domain, enter the SQL, then click on OK. It will check the availability if your machine is communicating with the domain or not, or yes, that is fine. This time it won't ask me for the password. Okay, so what I do, I will show you. Because that is the important thing that you should know, and I will give it to the pack as a work group. I'll say work group. Okay, don't worry, once you open the virtual machine, you'll see this work group and some random text over here. Okay, you don't need to worry about it. Welcome to the work group. Okay, I need to restart the computer. Close. Restart now. Let it restart. So meanwhile, I will let you know a few things about our DC. Okay, in the Active Directory in our domain, we need to create some service account. Service accounts are useful to make the services on the SQL server to be running properly, because we cannot give it with the specific user. Okay, if you give the services or if you run the services with an specific user and you shut down or you restarted agent, at that time you need to wait for the person who is able to log in and he makes sure that it should be up and running. So avoid that and make a security, we use the service account. So in our case, I have created 4 service accounts to run the 4 services of the SQL server. Okay, so what I done is I right click on the, wow, okay, great. I right click on the sql.com. Okay, I need to increase the more RAM for the server. Okay, I into, okay, I think I haven't selected. Go to new organizational unit. Once you click on the organizational unit, you'll see a folder will get created. Just right click and rename it, okay, to whatever you want. I name it as a SQL server account. Right click on the server account, go to the new, go to the user, fill the information like I have created the account for SSAS, SSIS, SSMS and SSRS, same thing. So for an example, okay, example service account I'm showing you, like example LCE, then login name as example. Okay, the next password, you need to be sure to be enter a strong password for security reason. Okay, and here user, unselect the user must change the password. User cannot change the password and the password never expire because service account password will never expire. Go to the next, click on finish, and our example account is created. So like this, we need to create the 4 service accounts for the 4 services. Okay, and from here you can create the users. Okay, so our server is up and running. I go to keyboard, control. See, here we are logging with the normal administrator. This is for the separate one. Okay, for now, ignore this. We are on the server 2016 on which we are going to install the SQL server. Okay, so enter the password. No, the password is different. So this is a fresh machine which we have created, suppose like that only, and now we need to pull it into domain. What we have done, we have set up the networking things. Okay, we have got the default gateway and all. So it started. Give it some time to load. Okay, so how to make pull it in the domain? Click on the file or this PC from the start. Okay, any you way, or you can use the Windows or E key. E as an echo. Okay, right click, go to property. I'm just checking things, don't worry about it. Okay, so once you right click, go to property, go to change setting, go to change. Here click on the domain. Our domain is the SQL domain. Click on OK. It will ask you for the password. This step I want to show you because it is asking you password for the SQL domain administrator, not for the Windows. Okay, this is our Windows machine and this is our DC. So when we are pulling our DC, sorry, our Windows 2016 into the DC, that time we need to enter the admin password for domain controller. So we will use administrator and the password. Make one thing sure, if you are entering credentials, entering administrator and the password, check that the domain should be SQL. If it is not there, or it is like some random text or your server name, then just type SQL backslash. So it will make sure that you're logging into the SQL administrator. Click OK. It will validate your credential. Now request way to the validate the credential. It's validated, yes, it's the right credential. We are communicating, and now you can be in the domain. So it will give the result that okay, this machine can be in domain and it can be managed by the DC. So we'll get a pop-up message saying welcome to the SQL domain within 2 minutes or 2 seconds. This is probably the faster because it's on the same network, and thinks that the RAM should. The following error occurs joining the SQL. The username or password is incorrect. What's wrong? I might enter something wrong. So backslash administrator -str So our DC validator and say now you are not an authorized user to use it. If there's something wrong you are doing, that's why it's not allowed to be get into domain. Okay, see, this time it's validate the credential and say welcome to the SQL domain. Okay, it will show you that you need to restart your laptop, or sorry, your machine. Say okay, close, restart now. Yes, well, let's start it now. So as an SQL administrator, you need to aware of the things like networking thing, administrator thing, active directories, groups, roles, policy. So if you know the basic thing of this, you can troubleshoot the issue like the login failed, network issue, not communicating, manage SSMS server is not running, or there's something or many issues. I will go with the issue and the scenario as we go with the video tutorials. Let me make sure that this time I'm recording the audio. Yeah, okay. I might pause the video here, but I don't have that version of the software. Okay, it's open software. I will suggest you for if you are trying to create something new and you want to record videos for your knowledge purpose, or you want to share this knowledge with your colleague or some friend who should be learn things. So this is the OBS software I'm using. It is open source software to record. And if you wish, I will create a video on this to how to configure. It's taking time, the little more time. Give it time. So in this DC, you should have the different kinds of like APEC, AMR, then EMEA, another domain. You should know. In future, I will show you how to create groups, how to create like applying roles, like taking the remote to the other machine. So what we do in the most of the things we will go manually, okay, and when learning, not in the learning in the organization, there is a separate team they will do. In the learning space, if you want to take a remote from one machine to another, we'll go manually and provide access, but we can manage it through the Active Directory, create a group, assign the role, and I will show you everything as videos will go on. So in this meanwhile, I'll show you this computer. Okay, if you go to your Active Directory, go to the computer, and you can see our SQL Server production 1 server is right now mapped and it's under control of the DC. Let's log in, input, keyboard, insert key, and now this time you need to log in the SQL server to validate if it's working fine or not. So go to the other user, see, login into SQL server. We'll go for administrator, go for the password for admin of the DC. Login password is incorrect every time. Good. Okay, so as I said you in previous, okay, few minutes ago, we need to make sure we're logging into the domain. I enter information as an administrator. It took the name of the local system. So what I do need to do is I need to SQL backslash. Now I'm logging into the SQL server, sorry, SQL domain. So we need to make sure of this thing. Let's go to this error occur here, so we will get familiar with it. So as much error will occur, we'll learn the things. Okay, I'm using the Oracle VM Virtual Manager. Before this, I was using this VMware to manage everything. Okay, what I suggest you, as you create the machine, okay, Windows Server, you should go and take a clone backup or a template backup, because in future we need more than a two machine or more than a machine where we have installed the SQL Server to do the HA solution. Okay, we need to do DR drill, we need to learn of the high availability, how the database will lock up, and a few other things which will help us to understand the scenario. So just create a clone or template using which we can create multiple windows. Okay, so it's loaded, we are logged in, we are logged in as an administrator of the SQL, it is in the domain. Okay, so I will not push this one video more than, because it's actually be more than the 12 to 15 minutes. So in the next video we'll start with the installation of SQL Server 2017 fresh, that will help you with that, so stay tuned. And if you have any query, just message me or comment me. Okay, bye, see you.